behind our program. Why specifically the olive tree? What's so special about the olive tree, as the rabbi already talked about for about 5-10 minutes, is really the olive oil it's more than just a fruit, but there's something that connects us to the olive oil, to the land of Israel, us as Jews, as people who love the land of Israel. There's something deeper than just being a fruit of the land. And we'll also talk about our program, how we turned this initiative into something that really connects all of us together. So I'll be using a presentation to sort of help us follow along. So I'll try to share my screen right now. I'll see how I do that. Do you guys see my screen, or do you guys see me?
We see you.
We see you, but we don't see your screen yet.
You don't see my screen. So let's see. Okay, I'm trying to get that connected. Tell me when you guys see my screen, because I can't really know. Here we go. Okay.
Okay, we're good. It's begun.
Okay.
We see it.
Perfect. Okay. So I don't exactly see what you guys see.
No.
Okay. So firstly, I want to talk a little bit about who we are before we get into the olive oil. So we are a new Israeli initiative, and our mission is to strengthen the bond between the communities of the world, the entire world, and Israel together by returning to the roots of Zionism. If I'm going to get a little personal here, for a few years already, I've been working in an organization, a nonprofit dedicated to connecting people from around the world to Israel through lone soldiers, through victims of terror, through donations. And I've been thinking for a while that Israel has become a very strong nation, a success story, a light to the world. And people who connect to Israel, people who want to give to Israel, it could also be from a position of strength, saying Israel is an amazing place and we want to be a part of it. And so that's the connection they made with Kobe, who's been in that era for many, many years, and who has a friend who's a farmer. And he's been saying for many years that he wants to connect his produce, what he creates, to the people of the world, people who care about Israel, people who want to connect to the Israel story. He wants to sort of create some way where he can share his produce with people who care about the state of Israel. And so our idea was to go backwards and to say we're going to return to the roots of Zionism. And that's where the olive tree comes in. Because the olive tree, as Rabbi Samson said beforehand, it's so much more than just a fruit. First of all, as we mentioned, it's one of 7. It's one of the 7 species that are special to the land of Israel, along with the dates, along with the grapes, along with the wheat. There's something special about the olive tree that connects people to the land of Israel. And of course, history. Just in this week's portion, we talked about the olive branch. The olive tree existed in the land of Israel for over 6,000 years. It's mentioned in the Bible numerous times. The symbolism, of course, again, with the dove and the olive branch. When the dove came back to the ark, it was like Rabbi Samson said, the dove was carrying an olive branch. The olive branch is a sign of peace. It's used in the emblem of the state of Israel, of its police force, of the UN. There's something symbolic about the olive branch it's very special. And of course, what's most important is its connection to the land. The olive tree, like I mentioned before, there's no other tree that grows in Israel as well as the olive tree, and for so many years. And of course, and also not to mention the quality of the olive oil, which we'll talk about later on, the olive oil itself and the olives, which is something that's very, very special to the land of Israel. Now, the program exists specifically because we are supporting and contributing to the Israeli economy in the most personal and impactful way. There are many ways that people can support and connect to Israel, many great initiatives. Our goal is to make this connection with you and the land of Israel something personal, to make it impactful. It's very easy nowadays to go onto Amazon or online and to buy food from Israel, even olive oil, wine. But we say, no, we want to go further than that, because there's a piece of Israel, and every Israel lover and every Jew, there's a piece of Israel. And through our program, through this way of connecting to a farmer, you have a farmer who's creating your olive oil, your brand of olive oil. You can have your tree. You can even put a sign on it. It has your label. It's a part of you, because Israel exists in all of us. And the idea of connecting to Israel comes also from the produce, from the agriculture. And that's why it's so important that it comes directly from the farm to table. It's not stored in warehouses. It goes directly from your tree to your house. Now, the reason why it's so unique, which is what I said, which is what I just said, because we connect you directly to the farmer. People can come, you can come to Israel and meet your farmer. You can see your tree, because it's special. It's a part of you.
Ask the farmer any questions.
Of course, just like Kobe said, you can ask the farmer any question. You can, how it's made, the olive oil, what type of olive it is. We've already had several months ago, a couple from Arkansas, I think it was, come and visit their tree. And the farmer took them, the picture on the left. They came to visit their tree with the farmer. He showed them the olive grove. He showed them how it's made. They took pictures. He showed them different samples. It's a special bond. It's more than just the product, but it's a piece of you in Israel. Now, the way it works, the program is, like Rabbi Samson said, you adopt, quote unquote, adopt or sponsor an olive tree in Israel. And the average olive tree in Israel produces about 4.5 liters of olive oil. I think a liter is 6 bottles, 4.5 liters, which is, I think, 125 ounces. I don't exactly know the measurements in the United States. But the idea is that the tree that you sponsor, the olive oil is yours. So when you adopt a tree, you basically get 6 bottles, 4.5 liters of olive oil. Of course, you can put your name on it, any name that you choose. And we ship it to you right after the harvest, and the harvest is next week, which is very exciting. From what I understand from our farmer, we're expecting a very good harvest season. We've had a very good year of rain, which is very important. One of the best years in the past 20 or 30 years, which is important. And the olive oil is sent directly to you right after the harvest. Like we said, doesn't sit in warehouses. The oil is also unfiltered. So there's this thickness to it, which we'll also talk about afterwards, about why the Israeli olive oil is so special. Of course, the farmer is a centerpiece of this project.
This is the guy who...
And on the left is our farmer. He's from Eniron. This is a picture of the couple who are visiting their olive tree. And our farmer's name is Gilad, the one who we're working with right now. And in his words, he says, for us, it's a way to grow our business, but also to strengthen the bond with people that care about us. For you, you get a very good product, fresh from our farm. I'm not talking about charity, but simply to channel your investment or your spendings in olive oil from Israel, instead of doing it from the supermarket. So it's a win-win for both of us. And this is the perspective of the farmer. He's saying that I'm creating an amazing product, and I want it to go to people who care about what's happening in Israel, people who love the state of Israel. And simply, he's not asking for charity or donations, but simply to channel your investment directly in the produce and get the product that he's creating. Instead of the supermarket, instead of Amazon, wherever you buy olive oil nowadays, directly from his farm. So this is the way the farmers see it. What's special about the program is that you can take it to any direction you want. Some people do it as a gift for a friend, for their anniversary, for their birthday. They adopt a tree and put their loved one's name on the bottle as a gift. Hanukkah is coming up, and our estimate is that we should be able to ship out the olive oil to get to you guys in time for Hanukkah. We've had people adopt trees as gifts. Also in memory of loved ones, we've had people adopt in memory of loved ones who've passed away. We've also had people who adopt trees as a bar mitzvah project and give out the bottles as gifts, or make it a project for the kid who adopts trees in Israel and supports the farmer. Of course, there are people who love the Israeli olive oil. And again, we'll get to that soon. What's so special about the Israeli olive oil? Everybody takes it to different directions. And that's what's so nice, because it's not just one thing. It's how you see it. About the Israeli olive oil. So for many people, it's very important to get organic products. And what's special about Israeli agriculture is innovation, trying to find out how we can create the best product, the healthiest product, and to get it and to make it taste the best as they can. And the type of olive that they grow in Israel is called the Barnea. Barnea is a very special olive. I forget the word, the terminology, but it's a special olive that was created in Israel. And it was created to maximize the taste. It grows perfectly in Israel. And we can probably say that it competes very well with the Spanish olive oil, if not better than the Spanish olive oil. The process of making the olive oil.
Michel Tiers is a professor.
Oh, and the professor who discovered this olive oil
Shimon
type
Levi.
is named Shimon Levi. He is the one who sort of put together this type of olive. And this is the olive that is most common in Israel. It tastes amazing, and it's very, very healthy. It's a really good strain of olive oil. Now, the way that our farmer produces the olive oil is when the harvest starts, they have these big machines that come to the tree and sort of put this claw or something under the tree, and it shakes the tree. And all of the olives fall on this big plate. So every tree, it just shakes the tree, and all of the olives fall onto this big plate. And then they take these olives and bring it to
Olive press.
to the olive press. Yes, thank you. To the olive press. And the way they take out the olive oil, extract the olive oil, is they put it underneath a big
Cleaning.
First of all, of course, they rinse and clean the olives. They take out the leaves and so forth, and so that the olives are clean. And they put it in a machine that they twist, and it compresses with pressure. It compresses the olives, and the olive oil just drains down. And that's what's called extra virgin. The first press is what's called extra virgin. It's the best olive oil, because many times these other oil companies, they continue pressing again and again and again to extract more olive oil. But the second pressing, it's not as good of olive oil. So extra virgin means it's the oil from the first pressing. The first time they put pressure on the olives and extract the oil.
Like in wine.
Similar to wine, exactly. It's very important to note that the quality, like we mentioned, the quality is based on these techniques that they use, and to make sure that they don't add the second pressing, the third pressing, because the olive oil preserves a lot better and it's a lot cleaner of a taste. And of course, you don't get sediments that aren't wanted in the olive oil. So the way our farmer does it is that he only uses the first pressing, which is the extra virgin olive oil, and that's the olive oil that you would get from your tree.
The time is important. Since the harvest.
Of course, right. It's very important also the timing. From the harvest until when they bottle and ship. The longer it waits in sunlight and in general in the factory, the olive oil loses its purity and its quality, of course. So it's very important that the minute or a couple of days after the olive oil is harvested, it's very important to bottle and ship as quickly as possible. So that's something that we're committed to, and that's something that's very important to preserve good quality olive oil. Out of each olive, you get about 20% oil. So only 20% of the olive, you can create olive oil out of it. And what's left over from the pressing, it's called gaff, they use it to fertilize the trees for next year around. So it's sort of recycled, all the waste, you can call it. It's recycled and used for the next year's harvest to for nutrients for the tree. Many times, oil is mixed with other oils, palm oil or vegetable oil or whatever. It's very important that olive oil is not mixed with other oils to preserve its purity and taste. And of course, that's something that's very important in Israel, that people don't mess around with that. It's only olive oil and it's only extra virgin, meaning the first pressing. And that's something that's, in Israel, we can say that something that we ensure that we do. The olive oil, when we ship the olive oil,
Olive bottles.
the olive bottles, it's inside special containers to make sure that, of course, they don't break or don't move, and to make sure that it stays dark. Olive oil, when it sits in sunlight or daylight or it overheats, it ruins the olive oil. So it's also very important when shipping to make sure that it's in a dark space and it doesn't move. It's also something that's very important.
One point I must say that Gilad's father, born in the USA, and he decided to make Aliyah and established the kibbutz Barkai.
Barkai, yes. So Gilad's father, Gilad is the farmer, is originally an American, and he made Aliyah in the foundation of Israel. And he established Barkan, which is a very well-known or famous kibbutz or moshav here in Israel. And Gilad is continuing in his path with the olive groves, which his father was also a farmer. And on the bottle, there's a picture of Gilad's father as a part of the label. He is basically on the label of each bottle, which is also important. So that's what we have for now. Of course, we would love if anybody has any questions, anything else you'd like to know about Israeli olive oil, about the process, about the program, about how it works. So I'm going to open the floor to any of you guys who wants to know anything that we didn't cover yet.
I have a question. What is the shelf life of the olive oil? How long can you keep it?
So if olive oil is preserved correctly, meaning not next to a window or in room temperature, it can you can preserve it to about a year.
Okay,
So
thank
you
you.
have about a year, yes.
Thank you.
Yishai,
Yes.
where is the orchard in relationship to Yerushalayim, Tel Aviv?
So Jerusalem is in this, geographically, it's around the center of Israel. Eniron is north of Jerusalem and north of Tel Aviv, right around the city of Hadera and Pardes Chana, which is about 20 minutes, about 25 miles away from Haifa, south of Haifa, and about 70 miles north of Jerusalem.
Thank you.
It's in the northern district of Israel, near the Carmel Mountains, Carmel Mountain Range.
I have a question. So it's no longer produced in Barkai.
No, it's no longer produced in Barkai. The olives are grown in Eniron, and they're produced nearby in the olive press nearby.
So how much olive oil do you produce a year? I was curious. And how many trees do you
It
have?
depends of our doctors.
So the farmer produces a certain amount every year, but depending on how many people sign up to the program, he sells his olive oil in Israel, and depending on how many people sign up to the program, we ship to the United States.
I have already some of new farmers who wants to take a part of this program as well, and give us their fields.
How much olive oil is produced in Israel compared to other countries? I'm just curious.
So there are about 2 million olive trees in Israel, roughly 2 million olive trees, and each tree produces
9 million.
9 million. There are roughly 9 million olive trees in Israel. Each tree produces about 4.5 liters. So that's about 38 million liters, roughly 38 million liters.
It's a lot of oil.
It's a nice amount of oil, yes.
Yishai, I have a couple of questions. The first question is, are olives used for anything other than olive oil and olives themselves? My second question, maybe from a more rabbinic point of view, I'm a rabbi, so I can ask rabbinic questions. Your olive is kosher certified. So in a general sense, I'd like to know what it is that the rabbi who certifies it looks for in order to make it kosher. And I guess point B of that is that during the Shemitah year, during the sabbatical year, when according to, as I think most of our friends on the call know, that there's an obligation to let the land lay fallow, or at least not to work it actively. So what do your farmers do, and how do you deal with your olive trees and your olive orchard during the Shemitah, during the sabbatical year?
יש משגיח כשרות שלנו. לכל אחד מהשלבים יש משגיח כשרות. לחקלאי משגיח כשרות, ליצרן יש משגיח כשרות, לנו יש משגיח כשרות. זה פעם אחת לגבי המשגיח. שנה הבאה יכול להיות שיהיה לנו כשרות בית יוסף וכאלה.
So when it comes to the kashrut, there are several stages. The farmer itself has kashrut because in Israel you have to give orla, right? The part of the growth has to go to what's called truma or maser, which means that they give part of it as a donation. So it's something that's special to the state of it, to the land of Israel. So the farmer itself has supervision on how he grows the olive oil. In the olive press, there is also a rabbinical, there is a staff of rabbis who make sure that the production of olive oil, they're not mixing any other substances or whatsoever. Then also when we bottle the olive oil, we have supervision to make sure that we're not mixing, of course, anything with the olive oil to make sure it's pure. So that's when it comes to the kashrut. There are 3 stages, 3 separate entities that ensure that the olive oil is kosher. One, the farmer has to have kashrut. The oil press has to have kashrut. And we also have to have kashrut when we bottle the olive oil. So this year we have the kashrut of the Binyamina Regional Council, of the Rabbinut of Binyamina. And next year we're going to have Badatz, which is the higher level of supervision, also supervise us. But that's only next year, not this year. When it comes to Shemitah, we're probably going to go ahead and do what most Israeli farmers do, which is called Heter Mechira. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but from what I understand, they sell the land to a non-Jew, and instead of paying for the olive oil, you pay for the labor. So however that works, that's probably what we're going to do with our olive groves. Now, what was the first part of your question?
Are the olives used for any product other than olive oil and olives themselves?
So yes, for creams. Many people use it for creams, for the skin. And also Christians use it for baptizing, but that's not for us. But mainly it's for cooking and salads and any food use. Of course, frying. The olive oil is great for frying, but mostly also for salads, like I said, and for dips. But they also use olive oil in creams, and many different creams for the skin and whatsoever.
Olives also, what preparation they do, they can them, and I think Bet Hashita and Yavne do a lot of canning. You get cans. As a matter of fact, I have a can in my pantry that I'm going to open tonight that is made in one of those places.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that also happens. Also in the Bible, they use olive oil to they poured it on the heads of kings when they I forget the word when Samuel
King Saul
to anoint them.
Exactly, for anointing. So that's also.
Do they produce mostly the green olives, or what is the difference between the green olives and the black olives?
It's the same.
It's the same. It's just how long it matures on the tree.
So you pick them before they turn black.
יש יועץ לכל חקלאי יש יועץ מענף הצמחים שאומר לו בדיוק מתי...
So every farmer has an expert who advises the farmer when is the best time to harvest the trees. So if I'm correct, if you harvest the trees early, when farmers who harvest the trees early, they don't create olive oil, but they sell it as olives for eating. And then the later stage, when it ripens more, they use the olives for olive oil. And then when it over ripens, when it turns black, then they also use that for eating. Just like the wine. All wine is the same. Most wines are the same variety, just the amount how mature the grape is when they harvest the tree.
Any questions?
Okay, terrific. Anyone else have any other questions they'd like to ask Yishai or Kobe?
So how does the program work?
So the program itself, we're seasonal. So everything works towards the harvest. So anybody can choose to adopt a tree or trees in the farmer's olive grove. And then once the harvest comes, which in our case is next week, the beginning of November, the farmer harvests the trees and sends it to the olive press. He creates the olive oil. He gives us the olive oil and we bottle the olive oil and put your label on the bottle and then ship it directly to you.
FedEx.
With this year, we're using FedEx, so it should arrive within a few days from when we ship. And according to our timetables, it should arrive in the beginning of December. And then, of course, you can add a sign to your tree, and throughout the year, you can come and visit the tree, visit Israel, visit your farmer. That's, of course, we advise it because it's that's the extra special part of the program is that you have the connection to the farmer and you can visit him and you could get all the information from him and really see where everything comes from.
It's really win-win.
And it's a win-win because the whole idea is for us to promote Israeli agriculture. So this is something that I missed. In the past few years, European olive oil has been flooded into Israel, and European olive oil is a lot cheaper, also because of the quality and the production, and it caused the prices in Israel to plummet. And the Israeli farmers couldn't compete with those prices because we have a certain standard of quality. So many farmers had to uproot their olive groves and plant something else. So what we do in our program is that we purposely pay the farmers more than the market value in order to promote their produce. So that's something that's very important to note. I forgot to mention that, but that's very important. We pay them more than what the market offers. And that's important because when people adopt early on during the year, let's say January, February, March, the farmer knows already that the olive oil has been bought. So he can plan ahead of time of how he's going to invest and expand his farm. And it gives him economic stability. So that's also something that's very, very nice about the program is that when you pre-adopt a tree before the harvest, the farmer knows that he was able to sell his olive oil.
It's a really win-win.
Yeah, I've included over here on the screen now. This is the flyer that we have for our program that we're working with Yishai and Kobe, and I think this is something that most of you have seen. So in addition to advertising the program, there's information here about how the program could work through our synagogue. So for anyone who either wants to adopt a tree, you're certainly welcome to do so and get in touch either with me or one of our folks in the office. And we also have a tree that we've bought that we're having a raffle for. So if someone would like to at least participate in the raffle and have an opportunity to be able to win a tree, to win the chance to adopt a tree and receive the oil. So down below over here, we have that opportunity listed too as well. So if anyone has any questions about how to be able to participate in the program here on our end through our synagogue, whether you be in St. Louis or elsewhere, and I know a number of you who are watching and listening have already done so, the deadline is this coming Thursday. At least on our end, the deadline is this coming Thursday because the harvest is coming. So again, anyone who has any information about wanting to participate on our end here at the synagogue, please be in touch with me or someone through the office.
And it's important to note that one last thing, if you think about it this way, The olive oil, you get about 6 bottles of olive oil. I don't know how much each of you consume, how much olive oil you each consume, but you can think of it as the olive oil, instead of buying it from the supermarket, that is your olive oil. So of course you're also supporting the synagogue when you adopt through the synagogue, and a way for you to connect to Israel. But it's also the olive oil that you would anyways buy throughout the year. You get it fresh from the harvest.
I think it's a wonderful, I was very excited when I heard about it. And are there other synagogues participating in it, or what's the story on that?
So we do have community synagogues and schools all over the United States and Canada, who each one is doing some other program. Each one does it in a different way, but we have other communities who are doing their own thing. And of course, individuals who join as individuals we also had from people from Europe, also from Africa, pretty much all over. People find their ways to join.
And how many farmers in Israel participate in this program? Approximately. Is Joel Yuval one, or are there other moshavim or kibbutzim or whatever, or growers participating in it?
So the amount of farmers that we have either participating or who are waiting to join our program is about a total of 14,000 trees that are divided upon a few farmers. Currently, the trees that have been already adopted have been mostly from Gilad's farm. He has about 800 trees. So that's about the size that we're looking at right now.
Thank you.
Okay, well, if there's no further questions, I want to thank Yishai and Kobe very much for taking the time to share with us some things. I learned some new things about olives. Not that I knew anything about olives beforehand, other than I like olive oil. But 6 bottles of oil. So, so all I have to do is go to the store and buy 2 more bottles, and then I have 1 for each night. Or either that or 1 bottle, and I can give away 5, or maybe use 1 for some of my Israeli salad. Not Greek salad, Israeli salad, right? Greek salad. Yeah. And I want to thank all of our friends from both St. Louis and from California who are with us. And thanks to Alan Haber for recording the program. And thanks again to Mike Minoff for as the chair of our Israel program. And it's very important for us to be able to have this program, not only for the olive oil, but as a kesher nafshi. The kesher nafshi v'kalkali is both a spiritual and a material connection with Israel. Our synagogue, Nusachar B'nai Zion, is very proud of the programming and the connection opportunities that we create to be able to support Israel, to connect with Israel. And as much as Israel benefits in the ways that we participate in such programs, Yishai and Kobe, we benefit more. We benefit more, Chutz La'aretz, outside of Israel, we benefit more from being able to just get the reach, the spirit of the olive, the spirit of the Kedusha from Israel itself. So we thank you for the opportunity to be able to partner with you. And although we're separated by thousands and thousands of miles physically, we're not here not only together on Zoom, but we're here together with you. And God willing, we'll all be able to see you. We'll come and say hello. We'll wave hello to all of our trees when we come to visit. And we look forward to you having a very successful harvest this year, and to be in touch in the months and the years to come. So thank you very much. And thanks everyone so much for joining us. Everyone have a lovely afternoon and a lovely evening. And again, thanks to Mike Minoff, the committee, who's busy over there juggling about 2 or 3 or 4 kids on his lap. So Mike, thanks to you for helping to put the program together.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Yishai.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for everything. Thank you to Jeff. Thank you, of course, to Rabbi Samson.
Okay, everyone be well. Have a good afternoon. We'll see everybody soon. Take care, folks.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Samson, is it okay if we stand a couple more minutes to speak with you?
I'm sorry, you asked me? Yeah.
Yeah, if it's okay if we stay logged on a couple minutes longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we'll say goodbye then.
Bye.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining.
Okay, Alan, thank you for recording it.
You're welcome.